The needs of small businesses for ERP is typically very different from any other market segments. In this video, we'll discuss the top 10 ERP systems for small businesses in 2023. So let's dive in. Hello, everyone. My name is Sam Gupta, and I am principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent ERP and digital transformation consulting firm. We help our clients with ERP selection, ERP implementation, business case development. On that note, let's get back to today's topic, which is going to be the top 10 ERP systems for small businesses in 2023. But how does the small business segment differ from any other market segment, such as your startup or mid-market companies? We define it as the companies that are going to have roughly 5 to 50 million dollars in revenue, roughly 50 to 100 employees, and their needs are unique because they are slightly more transactional in nature. They may be outgrowing QuickBooks and maybe looking for an integrated system, but right now their maturity from the procurement supply chain perspective, their planning is not going to be as heavy. So the systems that are going to be relevant for this particular market segment is going to be very different from the bigger market segments. So before we dive into the list, let's look at the criteria that we use to compile this list. And that is going to be the market share, whether these solutions have market share in the small business segment. Then the other factors that we look at, it's going to be your documentation, the quality of code, the ecosystem, the communities, the reviews. So we review all of these things and compile this list every year. So now let's look at the list. Number 10 on our list is a system called Rootstock. Last year we had SAP Business One. So just a little bit of change there. Rootstock targets small businesses that are going to be engineer to order project-centric organizations that are going to require very deep CRM capabilities. For example, let's say if you look at some of these architecture firms, engineer to order project-centric firms, that's where Rootstock really shines. Rootstock also does well in some of the medical device spaces, and the strength for Rootstock is going to be it's really pre-integrated with other Salesforce products, and namely that is going to be number one, Salesforce Commerce. Number two, it's going to be Salesforce CRM. And number three, it's going to be field services. Those three are best of breed products for those capabilities. And the organizations that might already be on Salesforce are probably going to appreciate Rootstock because it's going to be just one look and feel for all of the teams. And that's why companies like Rootstock because of that factor. Now, the other strength for Rootstock is going to be the deep MRP capabilities as well as the mobile capabilities are very deep in general because it's a cloud native platform. It was built on top of Salesforce. So you can do everything that you can probably do with Salesforce. That's the beauty of Rootstock. Now, the weaknesses for Rootstock is going to be the accounting capabilities are not as strong because Rootstock started as more of the MRP system. It used to integrate with systems such as Financial Force, QuickBooks. So accounting is really an afterthought, but they have accounting capabilities. So CFOs are probably not going to appreciate this because of the limited capabilities for accounting, the way the accounting workflows are going to be developed. For example, in other systems, if you are going to be editing any specific record, typically in accounting systems that goes through a specific workflow, it's not going to be a technical transaction where you can simply go ahead and edit. Those capabilities are going to be slightly strange for the CFOs, and the finance folks. But other than that, Rootstock is going to be really strong from the MRP perspective, from distribution capabilities perspective. The other weaknesses for Rootstock is going to be the ecosystem is really small at this point of time. They hardly have 200 installs from the Rootstock perspective. So that could be a concern for companies that are looking for slightly larger install base. And the ecosystem overall from the partner perspective is not going to be as strong either. You are probably going to be relying on Rootstock's professional services to be able to provide the consulting expertise. Having said that, Rootstock is still a very strong platform for small businesses, and that's why it ranks at number 10 on our list. Now, number 9 on our list is going to be SAP Business One. Last year, we had Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. SAP Business One targets small businesses that are going to require very deep distribution capabilities, light manufacturing capabilities. SAP Business One is very lean at this point of time in cloud. If you are using it as the accounting system, then it might be okay. But if you want to use it as the ERP system, there could be challenges, especially in the cloud. SAP Business One was really strong in on-prem, but again, you are buying on-prem software, you are not really buying a cloud software. So if you are okay in installing it in the on-prem mode, it might be okay. But then in cloud, you are not going to have as the capabilities. The partners that might be commercializing the on-prem version, they might have very thick add-on on top of SAP Business One. So you need to keep that in mind. Now, the strength for SAP Business One is going to be strong ERP capabilities. The way the product model is designed, the way ERP data model is designed, that's really strong in SAP Business One in general. It's not going to be comparable with the other larger SAP solution, but overall, the way the product is designed is very strong from the data model perspective. The other advantage with SAP Business One is going to be its HANA capabilities. And HANA is really powerful for enterprises that are going to have millions and millions of hits on GL or other transactions. So HANA really shines there. And that capability is also available with SAP Business One, along with the localization in several countries. So let's say if you are going to be present in 10 different countries, and you might still be a very small business from the revenue perspective, in some of these geographies, you might not be able to find any systems, and the only possibilities for you could be either SAP Business One or Microsoft Dynamics Business Central. So in those patches, and especially for those kind of businesses, SAP Business One could be really powerful. Now, the weaknesses for SAP Business One is going to be the cloud functionality is very lean, as I have already mentioned. The marketplace is going to be leaner than some of the other cloud native variants, for example, NetSuite, Acumatica as of today. So marketplace is going to be really lean as well. The last mile capabilities are not going to be as strong when you look at these core industrial manufacturing verticals, the distribution verticals, where you are going to require very deep last mile ecosystem specific functionality. That's where SAP Business One is probably going to struggle. Having said that, SAP Business One is still a very strong product, and that's why it ranks at number 9 on our list. Now, number 8 on our list is Aptean ROS. In 2022, we had Epicor Profit 21 at number 8. So just a little bit of change there. Aptean ROS targets process manufacturing centric organizations. The smaller businesses is where Aptean ROS play is going to be. Now, the strength for Aptean ROS is going to be the process manufacturing capabilities. And the other plus for Aptean ROS will be it has been re-architected for cloud. So it's not going to be as legacy as some of the other products in Aptean's portfolio, as well as some of the other products that we have on this list. The other strength for Aptean is going to be the way Aptean likes to target and sells its products. So the advantage is going to be you can probably get a lot of modules independently, so you don't have to pay for everything that you might not use. It is also going to be pre-integrated with some of the other Aptean applications. And Aptean has very similar business model as your Epicor Infor in terms of providing the purpose-built capabilities. So you are going to get a lot more capabilities out of the box as part of the system. Now, the weaknesses for Aptean ROS is going to be the UI is probably not going to be as modern as some of the other cloud native variant, even though it has been re-architected for cloud. The other weakness for Aptean ROS will be that it's not fit for diverse business models. If you have a business that does a little bit of discrete as well as process, that's where it might not be as great fit. And then if you have distribution as well, these industry specific applications typically struggle with the diverse business model. So if you have very complex business model, make sure you understand that the product is going to cover all of the capabilities equally, or at least in the same manner as your business model may be. The other weakness for Aptean ROS will be its ecosystem. It's not as strong. You're not going to find as many partners, developers, add-ons that you might find with some of the other ERP systems. Having said that, Aptean ROS is still a very strong system for small businesses, and that's why it ranks at number 8 on our list. Now, number 7 on our list is the system Epicor Kinetic. Last year we had Rootstock at number 7. So again, a little bit of change there. Epicor Kinetic targets mixed mode manufacturing industries or micro verticals, and these are going to be the smaller organizations that are going to be slightly more distribution centric. They are going to be manufacturing organizations as well, but in manufacturing, depending upon the product type, the patches differ. Epicor Kinetic does really well in slightly smaller product as opposed to doing very large, complex, long lead time products. The strength for Epicor Kinetic is going to be it has very strong discrete manufacturing capabilities. It's probably the top 2 system for discrete manufacturing in general that customers like to install, utilize. Then the other strength for Epicor Kinetic is going to be it has been re-architected for cloud, so it's not going to be as legacy as some of the other platforms. And then you are going to have a lot of pre-baked integrations, especially if you are a MES heavy organization or you require integrations with several different hardware in your shop floor. That's where Epicor Kinetic really shines in those shop floor capabilities. The weakness for Epicor Kinetic is going to be the code base is still very legacy. So let's say if you have to customize, you might have challenges there. You are going to be relying on the partner ecosystem for the most part, but the partner ecosystem could be very limited as well in general with Epicor. The other weakness for Epicor is going to be the ecosystem itself. When you are going to be looking for several pre-baked integrations that you can find in other marketplaces, you will not find that with Epicor. So if you are going for the complete Epicor solution, if you are willing to replace every single app that you might have in your architecture, Epicor Kinetic could be a great fit. But let's say if you are picking and choosing different software, even if you're a small business, that could be very expensive in general from the integration perspective. You might also run into technical issues in integrating them, and it may never work for you. So that could be a risk with Epicor. The third-party integrations are going to be equally limiting as well. Having said that, Epicor Kinetic is still a very strong platform for small businesses, and that's why it ranks at number 7 on our list. Now, number 6 is going to be another product from Epicor. It's Epicor Profit 21. In 2022, we had Aptean ROS. So we have downgraded Aptean ROS a little bit. Epicor Profit 21 is a distribution product from Epicor. It has far deeper industrial distribution functionality. It's not going to have the manufacturing functionality. In general, the industrial distributors are going to do a little bit of manufacturing as well. It might be able to handle kitting, assembly, but when you talk about the real deep manufacturing, that's where Epicor Profit 21 is going to struggle. Now, the strength for Epicor Profit 21 is going to be the strong functionality for industrial distributors. And when you talk about HS, when ecosystem specific functionality, Epicor Profit 21 does really, really well in certain ecosystems where you are going to have Epicor Profit 21 installed by most of the suppliers in that particular patch or the space. The other strength for Epicor Profit 21 is going to be the last mile functionality for those ecosystem is going to be present when you talk about the planning capabilities, when you talk about the quality compliance capabilities, the way these ecosystems might be requesting for the reports or the planning. That's where Epicor Profit 21 really shines. It's going to have support for things such as your buying groups. That is very common in the industrial distribution space. And sometimes there could be challenges in implementing that when you are, let's say, implementing that in the vanilla ERP system that is not really designed for buying groups. Sure, you can probably implement that. But then when you are going to have scenarios such as credit passing between your member organizations, between buying groups, that's where the deep capabilities for buying group is probably going to be important. And that's where industrial distribution, when you look at this space, there are going to be many different capabilities that typically industrial distributors require. And that's where Epicor Profit 21 really shines. Now, the weakness for Epicor Profit 21 is going to be it's not going to be as diverse. So if you are pure play industrial distributor, Epicor Profit 21 may be okay. But let's say if you are doing a little bit of construction, manufacturing, as well as industrial distribution, that's where Epicor Profit 21 may not be the best product. The ecosystem is going to be equally limiting, just similar to the other Epicor Kinetic product. So if you are buying everything from Epicor, then you may be okay. But if you require third-party integration, that's where you're probably going to struggle. Having said that, Epicor Profit 21 is still a very strong product for a small businesses, and that's why it ranks at number 6 on our list. Now, number 5 on our list is the product called Sage Intacct. And in 2022, we had Infor Cloud Suite Industrial. So just a little bit of change there. Sage Intacct is primarily an accounting product. It does have last mile functionality for some industries, especially when you talk about service-centric organizations, as well as some of the construction-centric organizations. That's where the Sage Intacct product is going to shine. But when you talk about any of the industrial distribution space, manufacturing space, where the operational functionality is going to be critical, Sage Intacct may not be the best product. So the strength for Sage Intacct is going to be the multi-entity consolidation functionality that is inbuilt as part of the product. So for example, let's say if you are going to be in oil and gas, energy spaces, that's where you are going to have a lot of entities, even if you are going to be a small business, because for each project, they are probably going to have one legal entity just to reduce the financial risk. So that's where Sage Intacct really shines. It's going to have deep capabilities in general for service-centric verticals. If you talk about tech, media, these are the organizations that are probably going to appreciate Sage Intacct a lot. If you are a regulated organization, audit-friendly organization, any products from Sage are probably going to be really deep with the financial capabilities designed from the perspective of the CFO. And that's where Sage Intacct really shines. Now, the weakness for Sage Intacct is going to be the lean operational functionality, and that's why it might require a lot of different add-ons in general for the patches where you require deep operational functionality and then where you are not going to be using the best of breed systems for your operational functionality. Now, the other weakness is it's going to require a lot of add-ons and customizations in general for most industries. But having said that, Sage Intacct is still a very strong platform for small businesses in 2023, and that's why it ranks at number 5 on our list. Now, number 4 on our list is going to be the product called Infor Cloud Suite Industrial. Last year we had Epicor Kinetic, so just a little bit of change there. Epicor Cloud Suite Industrial is a very strong manufacturing product. It has deep capabilities for things such as field service, the OEM-centric functionality. That's where Infor Cloud Suite Industrial is really going to shine when you are going to have very deep requirement for customizing or manipulating the bombs when you are a very strong manufacturing organization where we have very deep layers of bombs, but you are not necessarily building the satellites or rockets, those larger products. So Infor Cloud Suite Industrial does really well in the manufacturing spaces where you have the lead time of, let's say, a day to produce the product, or maybe a little bit more. But anything more than that is probably going to be trickier with Infor Cloud Suite Industrial. But if you are in that patch, then you can get a lot more as part of your same product, whether you are going to be an OEM, you are going to be a reseller, you are going to be a service provider in the manufacturing space. Sometimes these business models can be very complex. For example, when you look at these industrial distributors, they might be doing a little bit of manufacturing, they might be doing field service, they might be doing rental, they might also be doing your configure to order. So sometimes these businesses can be very, very complex. And that's where Infor Cloud Suite Industrial will be able to provide everything as part of the suite. So you don't have to worry about the integrations. Now, the strength for Infor Cloud Suite Industrial is going to be the mixed mode manufacturing capabilities. It's really strong within Infor CSI, designed from the perspective of the OEMs and some of the field services capabilities that you will find either with an add-on or it's not going to be part of the suite. That's going to be inbuilt as part of your Infor Cloud Suite Industrial. Now, the weaknesses for Infor CSI is going to be the business model is going to be really diverse. The UI is probably going to be legacy. That's what you're going to feel, even though it has been re-architected for cloud, but the UI is very legacy and the experience is clunky at this point of time. but that's okay if you care for the functionality. The ecosystem is going to be very lean as well in general. But having said that, Infor CSI is still a very strong product, especially for the manufacturing organizations, and that's why it ranks at number 4 on our list. Now, number 3 on our list is the product called Acumatica. Last year, we had Sage Intacct at number 3. So we have downgraded Sage Intacct a little bit this year just because of the missing operational functionality. Acumatica ecosystem is doing far better in general. So Sage Intacct has been downgraded a little bit. Now, the strength for Acumatica is going to be that it can support multiple business models with the same product. And sometimes when you talk about business models, these are not going to be just the manufacturing business models. These are going to be manufacturing, distribution, retail, branch-centric, accounting, as well as construction, then your industrial distribution as well. And that's where Acumatica can accommodate a lot as part of the same product. So if you are going to have very diverse business model, that's where Acumatica can do really well. Acumatica has very B2B friendly data model. So if you are a B2B centric organization, whether you are an industrial distributor, manufacturer, that's where Acumatica really shines. The UI is very cloud native just because it was born in the cloud. So experience is going to be very seamless in general from the technology perspective, but the functionality may not be as rich overall, and you may require several add-ons as well as the customizations on Acumatica that you may not require, let's say with Infor or Epicor, especially if you are going to be manufacturing or distribution centric organization. Now, the weakness for Acumatica is going to be the B2C capabilities, especially when you talk about storing the customers that are going to be the B2C centric organization or DTC centric. Acumatica may not be as rich in general compared to other systems such as Netsuite. The global capabilities are going to be extremely lean as well at this point of time. They have arrangement in other markets with OEMs, but that is going to be partner owned. So you have a little bit of technical and financial risk as you are going to have with any other add-ons, and might require several third-party add-ons as well as integrations. Having said that, Acumatica is still a very strong product for small businesses, and that's why it ranks at number 3 on our list. Now, number 2 on our list is going to be Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. Last year, we had Acumatica. Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central, in general, if you look at the data model, it's not as strong as some of the other ERP system. But the beauty with Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central is that it has very deep global capabilities. So it can work for many different geographies without requiring another ERP system for those geographies. And then the marketplace is one of the most vibrant. The ecosystem is one of the most vibrant as well. And then you are going to find a lot of different add-on solutions that can sit on top of Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. That's where it really shines. So the strength for Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central is going to be its ecosystem. It's very, very, very strong. The third-party integrations, there are going to be several third-party integrations available on top of Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central to help you provide that last mile functionality. But obviously, you are going to have those add-on risks. But depending upon your business model, if your business model is going to be very complex with many different hatches in your business model, then you might be interested in looking at Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central. It's really fit for very diverse and the global organizations. It may not be as fit, let's say, if you're a pure play manufacturing organization present, let's say, just in North America, then it might not be the best fit because you can get far more as part of the suite with some of the other ERP systems on this list. The weakness for Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central is going to be the data model is kind of weak for manufacturing. So you are definitely going to require an add-on for manufacturing as well as industrial distribution. It's really going to struggle there. But then let's say if you're doing a little bit of project-centric manufacturing or project-centric work, and then you have a little bit of distribution, then those diverse business model, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central is going to do really. The other weakness for Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central is going to be the operational capabilities are going to be really lean and might require several add-ons. Having said that, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central is still a very small product for small businesses, and that's why it ranks at number 2 on our list. Now, number 1 on our list is the product called Netsuite. In 2022 as well, we had Netsuite at number 1. Netsuite is a cloud native product and it targets small businesses that are going to be GTC, commerce centric businesses. When you are going to be in service centric organizations, hospitality, not so great fit for industrial manufacturing, industrial distribution, because you are probably going to require add-ons. But let's say if you care for the deep commerce functionality, deep accounting functionality, that's where NetSuite really shines. The strength for NetSuite is going to be it's designed for the DTC commerce centric organizations. When you talk about organizations such as health and beauty, where you are going to have multiple channels, you can find a lot of pre-baked integrations in NetSuite partner ecosystem that you might not be able to find with other ecosystems. The other strength for NetSuite is going to be pre-baked integrations with third-party, such as Celigo. Celigo has a lot of different pre-baked functionality. Even with other iPasses, you are probably going to be doing a lot of custom development as well as configuration on top of that, and that typically increases your implementation time, technical risk. So that is going to be a benefit with NetSuite. The weakness with NetSuite is going to be it's still a very complex product for smaller businesses and it'll require consulting help. So if you are going to be on limited budget, it could be slightly more complex for smaller businesses, but that is going to be with most of these products, you will require some implementation money, consulting help to be able to be successful with these products. Without consulting, if you are going to be doing either in DIY mode or you are going to be cutting corners with respect to implementation, then the vendors are going to be cutting corners as well, and you might not get the real benefit from the ERP perspective. The other weakness for NetSuite is going to be might not be the best fit for manufacturing as well as industrial distribution organization, just because of the number of add-ons it is going to require, and it's not really designed from that perspective, the kind of capabilities that they are going to require. So that's it for the list. We just reviewed the list for 2023 for small businesses. If you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. We publish these videos on a weekly basis. We also have this podcast available in the audio form. So hit the subscribe button on Google, Apple, Spotify, as well as if you have not checked our digital transformation report for 2023, we cover a lot of these lists and the best practices in that. So hit the download button below. On that note, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.